Sāngi jodāng tsōgī tsōnam lā chāngchū bādō dāni gyab sōngchī dāgī zī sō gyabī sōnam jī rālā bīñchī sāngi rūpa shō. Sāngi jodāng tsōgī tsōnam lā chāngchū bādō dāni gyab sōngchī dāgī zī sō gyabī sōnam rālā bīñchī sāngi rūpa shō. Sāngi jodāng tsōgī tsōnam lā chāngchū bādō dāni gyab sōngchī dāgī zī sō gyabī sōnam jī rālā bīñchī sāngi rūpa shō. Okay. Hello everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Uh, okay, so this is, I think, the fourth session in regards to everyday awakening. Mm. So I think last session we covered quite a bit on karma, and how karma works and what are the means and the methods to be able to conquer the method to to use karma, or to what we say tweak karma in the way that you wanted to work, and especially to focus on certain aspects of the practice, in regards to in regards to developing a means and a method, and also focusing in the understanding that the karma doesn't work. It's not what we say concrete. It's not what we say definitive, right? Karma can change, karma can be changed, karma will change, and so on and so forth. And we take the opportunity to change these aspects of the different karmas in the ways that everyone can hear me. Yeah. Okay. So we work in the ways of the teachings out by the Buddha, in how to use these means and methods, and how to comply in regards to applying the method of tweaking the karma in our life, so that we can bring change in our life, whether it be external, whether it be internal, whether it be through the mental effort, whether it be through physical effort, or whether it be through spiritual effort. So in every aspect of changing, we can apply these methods, whether you're working, whether you're sitting, whether you're smiling, whether whatever you're doing. So Rinpoche's famous quotation, what does it? Eat with compassion, sleep with compassion, die with compassion, live with compassion, right? So exactly the same method. The whole idea behind all the aspect of this is that it's changeable. Every aspect, every small step we take in our life, it contributes to changing the aspect of the karma, and changing the methods and the means of what we say, uh, changing our what we say step moving forward, cause and conditions, right? So I think we covered pretty much of that, and the focus point in that was that that we can't really change what's in the past, always focusing on the change that's in the future. And also the aspect that when we are mentally focusing on one aspect of life of the past, then what happens is it stays in the memory, in the mindset as a memory. Yeah. 接谢, we call it in Tibetan, Toksen Tokpa 接谢, which means that has already been um, uh, what do we say, cognized, right? So that has already been cognized and is put as a seed or a memory. Then every time you recall that exact same memory, what happens is the picture doesn't change. So whether I recall it today and I try to change the memory today, or whether I recall it tomorrow and I try to change the memory tomorrow, it never changes. Every time whatever you are bringing back, the same image appears. So what is changeable is the future, moving forward. So what we visualize, what we aspire, what we dream of, what we can look towards, what we what we the inspiration, aspiration, wish, all of that. That one moving forward we can change. So I think that was one of the main keys in that. Today's topic, I think, a little bit more interesting. We are going to focus on the uh, opportunity of living or opportunity of life, and I think one of the most uh, famous, what do we say, outlines of the opportunity of life. I mean, opportunity of being alive or living comes from the concept of precious human rebirth. A lot of questions, of course, in regards to precious human rebirth. Why it's precious? How can it be precious? For what reason we call it precious? And so many different aspects. And I think this can be focused in many different ways. uh, I think easier if we are focusing through the spiritual aspect, where we say, oh yeah, it's precious because the teachings are very rare, and even if we are in a, what do we say, in the era of social media, and everything is on the internet, still people have a hard time focusing on it, because there's so many other things on the internet that we can focus on, and that takes our, what do we say, focus away from practice and from the teaching. So therefore, one of the main aspects is, I think, being um, connected again, karmically connected again towards the teachings of the Buddha. So that would be one aspect. The second aspect, of course, in regards to, well, in regards to finding a perfect teacher, or finding the perfect guide, or finding the perfect Sangha community, or finding the perfect partner in regards to development of our spiritual practice. Now, that's also one aspect of it being precious. Third one, I think, if you look at the wheel of life, I think you can pretty much tell that in the God realms, there's so much chaos in regards to pride, and in regards to enjoyment, that there's no time to actually practice, or to even, what we say, go through the teachings of the Buddha. In the demigod realm, pretty much similar. So much jealousy towards the gods, towards their power, and towards what they can enjoy. Having power but not having full power is also another struggle that I think we also experience in the human realm as well. So that would be one aspect again. Now the three lower realms, of course, full of suffering, and no time to focus because of full of suffering, and that I think we can also relate to, because when we are sick, when we are suffering in a certain way, then the intentions are normally to get better, and to get rid of the suffering, not to focus on the teachings and the methods and so on and so forth. So I think that's quite relatable as well. So even if we look from the diagram of the six, or what we say, the six realms, we can already see the aspect of it. Again, if we look through the same diagram, and we look at the 12 dependent origination links, again, it's pretty clear that because of the conditions that are arised that arise in the human realm, that one condition can lead to another. I think we did talk about it in the section of karma, and in the section of, what was it, the key to change. I think it was the second one. So basically, we have the opportunity to make a change, and therefore that's what matters, and that's what brings the arise to the bigger scope of the practice. So that's from the perspective of the what we say, practitioner. Now, in if we look from, I think, a normal, day-to-day experience, I think there are a lot of things to be thankful about. Whether we are in the worst condition, there's always something even worse than the condition we are in. If you look at the world right now, you might see there's a lot of wars going on. There are a lot of chaos going on. Something to really focus on and meditate, which can really give you the realization of how precious our life is. And even when we look at the aspect of power, you know, in the name of power, or what we say, the hunger towards the towards power, what to say, usage of human lives, meaningless. They look at human life like it's, like, I think a lot of us while growing up, we had fear of insects, mosquitoes, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people, there's no regards to considering one ant's life or one mosquito's life as a precious life, the action towards it. So similarly, when people are in power and there's the power hunger and there's a struggle, then you already see that, bomb each other like the other person is no one. We criticize each other like the other one doesn't matter, we so on and so forth. So this is a sort of like the aspect of daily human life that we can actually meditate on and start to see that the mindset behind it is actually very, very weak, very afraid, very fragile. And even though deep inside we know that our time of death does come, what do you say, in a blink of an eye, still the consideration to let go. Yeah, yeah, still to let go of the consideration to consider others is actually very, 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 very far away. So again, same thing, precious human rebirth. Now, the aspect of, I think we did go through mind and mental factors. So the aspect of the mind also, I think the way the mind functions on this human realm is actually way beyond even God realms. So there's a huge debate between whether God realms are actually so amazing and supreme as we think. If you are a god in a god realm that has certain aspects or imprints of compassion, of love, of consideration, so on and so forth, then maybe they can be a challenge. But other than that, in the god realm, there's always this vagueness when it comes to application of what we say of practice. And that one I think is quite similar, right? When we are enjoying a movie, when we're enjoying a spa, when we're enjoying a holiday, the likeliness to consider about others, the likeliness to put effort into practice is also not going to be there because we are so focused on enjoyment. So I think it's quite similar in that aspect. Mm. So anyway, so that's a potential part of bringing of realizing uh, why the human life that we have, especially, is quite precious in the sense that it's the source of all changes. Yeah. Whether we focus from a normal human aspect, or whether we focus from a spiritual aspect, or whether we focus from an internal aspect or an external aspect, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, when we consider those things, then we actually see that there is a huge regards in, I mean, huge aspects in regards to why it's precious. So anyway, we will start with that today. Mm, And in regards to, I think in regards to practice, pretty much I think most of the aspects of practice we have sort of covered. Um, the methods, especially the methods in regards to what we can use. First, the concept. Second, the key of the key where the concept appears from, which is the mind. And then third is the method, which is the concept of karma. So I think these three things together, combined together, we start to what we say we start to be able to what we say apply the methods, or judge the methods in the similar way. So considering how we can change in that way, I think the focus has to come from the aspect of realizing these three important, really, really important aspects. Important not in the sense that, in Dharma, I always say in Dharma, everything is important. I studied Buddhism for around 20 years, not including Kupan. So I studied in Sera for about 20 years. And every day we'd go for PT. PT is like, what do you call PT? PT is like like sort of like teaching on the text. And every day when we start a new topic, the teacher would say, "This is the most important topic in Dharma." So for 20 years, every day, each and every topic that I've covered has have been extremely important. And this is also one reason why I think, most teachings when the teacher starts, oh yeah, when you start on compassion, oh, compassion is the most important aspect of practice, and then you talk about emptiness. Oh, emptiness is the most important. Four noble, oh, four noble truths is the most important. So there is importance in each and every one of them. And the amazing part is all of those topics, 84,000, basically the 84,000 teachings of the Buddha, are combined into this sort of like this chain, this link. It's quite amazing how Buddha actually saw this and was able to combine and link all of this together. And and this link, what it does is when you focus on one of them and you start developing them from one aspect, actually, everything else grows with it. So this is, I think, one amazing thing about the teachings of the Buddha, that opportunity or that method has been laid out so that you don't have to focus on each and every one of them. You can actually hold on to one and develop one from one aspect and be able to develop everything else just by developing that one. So this is, I think, one key aspect of practice. Also, I think opportunity of life when it comes to practice. So yeah, we'll focus on that. um, when it comes to application of dharma in one's life, especially application of the methods that we talked about in the last three sessions in one's life, first, before applying, we need to see that our life is meaningful. uh, our life is an what do we say, aspect where these are applicable. Without realizing that that these methods are applicable, then how are you going to apply? So this is one question that you need to what to say, meditate on, is that you need to start to see that the life that you have is meaningful in that way. Another thing that Kyabje Lama Thupten Sopa Rinpoche always focus on in regards to practice is the, what do we say, um, uh, uh, I don't know how to put it down in words. There is a word, but I can't remember the word. But anyway, the concept of how direly the situation is. Yeah, the how direly situation of the situation we are in is. We have to, the concept of having to apply the Dharma, and not just having to apply the Dharma, but having to apply the Dharma right now, at this very moment. If able, if you have the capacity, then to actually even reach enlightenment right now, how important it is to reach enlightenment right now and at this moment. And this all focuses down on the aspect of course, the whole concept of what we say, of samsara. So this, I think, covers the concept of renunciation, bodhicitta, and the view of emptiness, combining together and understanding that this also is because this opportunity is not going to come over and over again, especially in regards to understanding how hard it is to, to condition uh, things. I mean, we for once see things conditioning very easily. We want to, what do we say? We want to plant corns on the field. It's quite easy, right? You just find a field and you put the corn seed in and you water, you apply water, and yeah, most likely the corn will come out. So we are very used to what we say. We are very used to uh, planting easy plants. We are used to planting corn. We are used to planting grass. We are used to planting, easy things. But there are certain certain fruits or certain kinds of what do we say material, what do we say crops that take a lot of effort to plant. And I think this is one of them, and dharma is one of them. It doesn't come as easily as we think. It's not as easy as planting what do we say planting grass. so so if you want something amazing to grow in your garden, then you need to be willing to put the effort to grow that, right? So similarly, this life itself, yeah, the opportunity of this life is that you have the opportunity to plant something like that. And if you look at it from that perspective, I think maybe it makes a little bit more clearer sense. So because we have the opportunity to plant something amazingly beautiful in our life, therefore we have to put the effort into planting it, right? So take this into consideration. I think this can be a key point of meditation in regards to today's topic. Um, what is the amazing uh, plant that we are talking about? Yeah, the amazing plant that we are talking about, of course, comes from the seed of bodhicitta. Yeah, bodhicitta becoming the method. Um, and then the application of wisdom, of course, we need good sunlight, we need good that, good this. So similarly, the view of emptiness becoming the um, uh, share up wisdom to apply it. I think we don't go too deep into the view of emptiness. I think more concentration on the concept of bodhicitta, of course. Um, and then through that understanding. Okay, so yeah, so that I think we need to focus on. So I think there are few different aspects of this that we can concentrate on. Uh, I think one of the more important parts is, of course, we talked about access, right, to the teachings, access to the methods and the means, access to the opportunities that we have right now in order to practice in that way. And then also one thing that we talked about in regards to the topic of karma is freedom. Freedom, what was it? Freedom is the birth of right of birth, or something like that. This in the American, what is it? They have this, right? What is it? Freedom is birth of right, or right of birth, or something like that. So anyway, so freedom in the concept is realizing. I think true freedom comes from realizing the concept of karma, realizing the concept of having, having the aspect of change in your own hands. That's freedom. That's true freedom. And so also realizing that freedom, that there is so much freedom, even though we are shackled by our what we say, our daily life problems, such as financial problems, such as sickness problems, such as that, such as this. These are, I think, small things compared to how much freedom we have in regards to, awakening ourselves, awakening our mind, awakening the concept of liberation, awakening not just the concept, but also the aspect of liberation, the path to liberation, so on and so forth. So there's so much freedom in that. And this is only seen when you look at things from the bigger aspect, from the bigger picture, right? So always look at the concept through a bigger picture. So when you look at it through the bigger picture, you will start to see that there's so much freedom that we have. And of course, joy is a huge aspect of freedom. So as once you realize that you have that freedom, then joy comes quite, I think, simultaneously. So that is one thing. And then of course, the conditions that we create, because we have that freedom, then the conditions that we create are immensely open in so many different ways. So we have that opportunity as well. And then of course, I think in regards to that, we have when it comes to opportunity, then in regards to that, we have the reflection of physical and mental reflection, whether we are able to two aspects that we look at. One aspect is the limitation, and one aspect is the capacity, right? So as long as you focus on the limitations and the capacity that you have, then then the utilization of the freedom becomes even wider. So this, I think, is the what is the aspect of being able to apply the the methods. So these on these basis, yeah. Um, um, because life is very, 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 very short. Uh, I think compared to a lot of different realms. Uh, our life, human life, is very, very, very short. Even compared to, I think, um, comparing to animal realm, maybe maybe we have a longer life, but then depends on what animals. But other than that, I think comparing, I don't think comparing is a good idea, but here just for the sake of practice or the sake of understanding, we can do a little bit comparison. So comparing to most realms, I think the human realm is very, very, very short-lived. And this is one of the reasons why the life opportunity of this life, you need to really hold on to the opportunity of this life because it's short, very short-lived. If you have a healthy life, if you have earnings, if you have food to eat, if you have a place to sleep, if you have everything like that, the basic necessities as we call it, then you already see that most of the aspects of life have been taken care of. So that's why the focus of practice becomes even more important. Um, so from one aspect, yes, life is very, very, very short, and therefore it's the dire situation that Jebja Lama Buddha talks about. You want to develop compassion, you need to develop compassion now, because life is very short. But then again, from one aspect, if you look at life, life is very, very, very long. Yeah, time is sort of like a construct. The moment you look at time from one aspect, the time the what we say, the perceivance of time changes in many, many, many different what do we say, grades, sort of like grades, right? I think this we experience this in our daily life, starting from when we are enjoying. Our time goes by very fast. Yeah, normally holidays are the fastest. Yeah, we we sleep until 10 a.m. in the morning, 12 a.m., 12 p.m. Half of the day is already gone, and then we do things here and there, chores, that normal things. Then we decide to watch a movie. Nowadays the movies are what, 2 3 hours long. So then another, so time just flies by. But then you have something that you really hate and you don't want to, and you want to get out of it as fast as possible. Then you keep looking at the time, and the construct of time tends to change. I mean, the clock, the 5 minutes, even the 5 minutes is always having a problem for the 5 minutes to go by. So I think this is again another thing that we really need to think about is the construct of time, because I think this, if you really understand one method of constructing time, it really, I think it sort of changes. It gives us the opportunity to rely. I mean, not rely, but it gives the opportunity for us to utilize time in a certain way that is more meaningful. And this, without realizing that, then our time just flies by every day. 1 day gone, 2 day gone, 3 day gone, 4 day gone. So another reflection that I would maybe recommend is during what do we say, the everyday awakening sessions that we are doing, or the courses that we are doing right now. Now already three weeks have gone by very fast. 3 weeks, you can't imagine how fast it went. But 3 weeks have gone by. Now this is the fourth week, and then within these 3 weeks you have I think you have a lot of work, or I have given you a lot of work, or this course has, we have Venerable Dundup's workbook has given you a lot of work. And you look at how much you have done, and how much you have focused on it, and how much you have thought about it. Maybe you realize what time does to our mind. so, so think about it. Yeah, another thing. So whether we are making time meaningful or not, I think this relies on understanding the value of time, and the value of time is defined by the value of whether it be practice or whether it be things to do, whatever it may be. So, value of that equals value of time equals utilization of time equals development equals result. So that's how it works normally, right? Um, uh, and I think this aspect that not aspect but this method of teaching that we focus on normally in regards to especially in the we say the wheel of life is always outside the monastery, right before we enter the one monastery temple, right? It's outside. So there used to be a time back in Tibet when there were not many when the teachings of Buddha were not taught in the way that it is taught right now. The villagers come to the monastery and they look at the wall, and then there's a monk explaining, oh, if you do good, you end up here. If you do bad, you end up here. If you end up there, then you have a lot of peace and happiness and joy. And if you end up right there below, then there's a lot of suffering and a lot of chaos, and you get burned and you get cut and you get fried and you get I don't know what, right? You get stabbed, you get mutilated, so on and so forth. So this one we rely so much on fear. I think practice. One thing I would really recommend is never bring fear into practicing. Right? Fear, it does work for some people, yes, but fear is not a good way. You can't be scared to do something. Yeah, the fear is not the right way to practice. If it is the only way to practice, then maybe fear is good. But if it is, I mean, like I say, it depends a lot on person, changes from person to person. Some people, they need fear in order to push them to do something. So if you are one of them, then no comments. You can go ahead and still practice. But if you are not one of them, then I wouldn't recommend fear to push you into practicing. Yeah, practice has come out of not out of fear, but out of joy. Yeah, out of fear, if you're practicing out of fear, one of the things that will happen for sure is that you will not enjoy practice. You really won't enjoy practicing out of fear. Yeah. So this is one thing. If you don't enjoy, the results are not coming from enjoyment, and therefore the results would also change. The results won't be same. And because the results won't be same, therefore the approach towards the what is the results, it will also be different. So never don't ever let fear be the guide to your achievement, right? This is, I think, one thing that we need to understand, because in Dharma, lot of aspects, if you especially if you don't go through the whole 84,000 teachings of the Buddha, then people use fear to integrate, and I think also in regards to guru devotion and also in regards to practice, daily practices, I think there's a lot of push in regards to all of this through the concept of fear. I personally don't think that is the method. I personally don't think that will work for sure. And I think even now, if you look at the situation around the world right now in regards to Buddhism and practice, and especially Vajrayana, you already see that there's a lot of problems coming up because of the fear. And now people are losing the fear and they're starting to question these things. And now, then then it's a little bit chaotic. So don't let fear be the guide to your practice. Yeah, always let joy be the guide to your practice. Joy is the whole concept of real attainment. Yeah, you can't achieve happiness. We already know that you can't achieve happiness through anger. So similarly, you can't achieve peace through fear. That is not something that will work. So anyway, that would be another aspect to think about in regards to practice. Um, then I think an important topic that we covered in regards to practice, the concept of impermanence. That one, I think, will come slowly. If it doesn't, if it hasn't hit you right yet, then it'll come slowly. But if it has hit you, then you already know the dire situation. You already know the concept of why, right? You already know the application, the methods. Yeah, the concept of consistency, the concept of cause and effect, the concept of karma, the application of all of this. So that is there. And if it hasn't hit you yet, then give yourself time, but don't be lazy. And the time comes, efficient usage of time. Through the efficient usage of time comes the real understanding of what we call immortality, right? Immortality, yeah, the concept of immortality comes. And through that, I think the application of the understanding in regards to, especially in regards to reflection of the view of impermanence comes. So this is something that is very closely linked with change, with consistency. So there are four aspects of it, I think. First is change, second is consistency, third is continuity, and the fourth is cause and effect. So these four aspects of nothing different, exactly the same thing, but the what we say, the aspect we focus on is different. So these are changes that we need to realize in regards to the concept of impermanence and application of the concept of impermanence in regards to development in our motivation. Yeah. Now, in regards to that, I think also the concept of how do we apply whatever we have gone through, whatever we have studied, whatever you have studied, especially in regards to practice, in regards to dharma, um, because of how much time you have given. I always say, I think as long as you have been a practitioner for 15, 20, even 10 years, you have enough knowledge. You don't need more knowledge. If you have gone to teachings, yeah, His Holiness's teaching, yeah, Gyabja Lama Tuda Soparam's teaching, and if you are old student, then Lama Yeshe's teachings, so on and so forth, and then of course your own gurus and your own sanghas. The amount of teachings, the amount of information that you have, try to write them down. You won't be able to write them down. This is how much information you actually have. Whether you're utilizing and whether you're using it, that's a totally different thing. that, that is dependent a lot on how lazy you are, how passionate you are, how convinced you are, how much conviction there is. So this more related to that. But the information that you have is limitless in so many different ways, I think. Then information just doesn't come from people. I think information is also on the now you have nowadays we have internet, we have all the informations on the internet as well. So there is not a lack of information. And this is, I think it was in TNL or somewhere. We were talking about it, and I said I don't know about how, we call it what do we say, the Kalyug, the degenerate age. I don't know how degenerate it is. There's more information available than ever. Yeah, my teacher, Gandhi Rinpoche, well, the past Gandhi Rinpoche, former Gandhi Rinpoche, um, he used to tell me the story where in Tibet, because they didn't have enough books, that they had to share books. And because they had to share, they didn't have much time. Every time they got the book, they didn't have much time with the book. So, and in those days, they didn't have light up there. There was no lights, like electricity. So they used to burn incense, and they used to look at the text by burning incense. The incense give out a little bit of light, so they used to look like this and read and memorize. And this is why they had to memorize extremely fast, extremely well, because they wouldn't get the book for another few weeks or months. so so you look at that, I think that was the time of Kali Yuga in some ways. Because in those days, you see, even if they are practitioners, there's no material, there's no knowledge, all the knowledge were, you know. So now we are in a time where we don't have to worry about those things. Yeah, you want to read in the middle of night, you can turn on the light. You want to read in the middle of the night and you don't have a book in your room, you just go turn on the computer and you type and you can find the book there. So this is the time how available Dharma is, how available the methods are, how available the means, the wisdom, the knowledge. It is everywhere now. So the only thing lacking is application, and that comes from your side. And this is something you need to consider every time. And every time something pops up, then that consideration also needs to pop up. I think it's also a practice. I think it's a good practice. It keeps you going, keeps you continuing, keeps you inspired, keeps your aspirations high. So this is another thing that you need to consider also. Yeah. In regards to application of our daily life, I think from one perspective, dharma is very, 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 very hard to apply. The reason why dharma becomes very hard to apply is because it's very, very, very structured and detailed and constructed in a certain way. You can only move in a certain way. You can only do in a certain way. Yeah. If you look if you look at dharma through that perspective, then yes, it's extremely hard. If you want to apply dharma, if you want to even forget about dharma, even prostrating is very hard. Yeah, there has to be someone looking at you, the posture is right or not, where your hand is going in the beginning. Is it going up here? Is it going here? Is it going here? Where exactly is it supposed to go? Then where is the second one? Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? Some say it's the heart, some say it's the dimba, change. So if you start concentrating on these small, 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 small things, then dharma becomes extremely hard. Yeah, should I think like this? Should I not think like this? Should I focus on here? Should I not focus on here? Some people make it if some people make it so hard to, even when you're sitting down and you are focusing, you are what we say visualizing, then even if some random thought comes up while visualizing, then they say, oh, now you need to start to do everything from all over again. If I make it that hard, then of course it's going to be hard. Who's going to be able to do that? So for me, I always saw Dharma in certain ways. As a normal human being, if you are a normal human being, then there is Dharma for a normal human being. If you are not a human being, if you are an animal, then there's Dharma for animals. If you are not a human being and not an animal and you are a bodhisattva, there's Dharma for bodhisattvas. If you are not a human being, not an animal, not a bodhisattva, and you are a Buddha, then there is Dharma for a Buddha. So this is how Dharma changes. That's what I think. A lot of people, they study the Bodhisattva's way of life and they try to live it. I think very good, amazing. But if that person is a Bodhisattva, then okay, it's applicable, it's reasonable, it's doable. So good. But if that person is not a Bodhisattva and tries to live the way of Bodhisattva, now that's going to be a challenge. That's going to be why Dharma is very hard, why practice is very hard. Yeah, if I tell a dog, if I teach a dog to circumambulate a stupa, the likeliness that he will be able to do that is very high. So maybe good, okay. But if I tell a dog to sit straight and meditate on the view of emptiness, now Dharma is going to be very hard for that dog, right? And same thing, I think, applies everywhere. So this is how the hardness of Dharma changes. Buddha was extremely smart, amazing, real enlightened mind. Because his method for normal human beings, I think, was extremely easy. Because he looked at what normal human beings had, he looked at what more normal, like I said, limitations and capacity. He looked at those two and he found out, this is the right method for human beings. And then he gave teachings, even within human beings. Okay, he gave teachings. Yeah, not 80, all 84,000 teachings, but most of the 84,000 teachings were for human beings. There were some for animals, like the Naga teaching and all of those are for animals. There were some for bodhisattvas. There were some for, Arya beings, so on and so forth. But most teachings were for human beings. And for human beings, the teachings changed again, not just because they're human beings, but their mental capacity was different. Their beliefs were different. Their systems were different. Their methods were different. So the teachings again, within the human realm of teachings, the teachings again started to change over and over and over and over again. The teachings changed from what we say in those days, the kingdoms, right? So from kingdom to kingdom, the teachings changed. So the real teaching at the end of the day, you actually understand that it's not what we say, it's not concrete. It's not constructed in a way that everyone has to follow one rule or one regulation or one method. Yeah, the teachings change from your mindset, from your uh, values, from your uh, what we say, how inspired you are, what your aspiration is, so on and so forth. So the teachings kept on changing based on that. So now you look at Buddhism from a completely different view. You look at from Buddhism from the view of your limitations and your capacity, and Buddhism starts to become much more easier to apply. And I think this is one thing that has to be clear, especially in the in the modern teachings, because we tend to do things, we tend to overdo things. And if you're not a bodhisattva and you try to apply the bodhisattva's way of life, and your mental capacity cannot handle it, then instead of what is attaining joy from it, you attain depression, and you attain anxiety, and you attain all kinds of different other mental problems from it. So application, the method of application, you need to really make it as what do we say, as applicable as it is, right? So this is another way. One of the methods that are taught in that way is the concept of the middle way, the umilam, right? The middle path, the middle way. I think Buddha made it very clear that there's two extremes in everything, right? What we say, uh, nihilism and eternalism, right? So there's two extremes. And this is just I think this is just an example, especially in regards to the practice of the view of emptiness, and in the regards of the practice of what we call, if you go into the practice of Dzogchen, uh, what we say, eternal Dzogchen, from the concept of application of the what we say of the different guru yogas. Now that one is completely different from that aspect, but coming back to the same point, the application of the middle way becomes extremely important in the sense that it teaches you that there is limitation in everything. Yeah. So just as we don't go to the two extreme sides when it comes to the application of dharma, of the practice of dharma, of compassion, of whatever it is, whatever practice it is, uh, there's also two extreme sides to practice as well. So don't go to the point to where it becomes too extreme for you, right? So this is again another thing. um, the middle way especially focuses on the challenge of our life, right? Some people, they differentiate everything. They differentiate differentiate good and bad. They differentiate bad and good. They differentiate easy from difficult, difficult from easy, and they make it's either easy or it's either difficult. It's either that I need to work to make money, or it's either I need to practice and not care about all of those things. Those are the two extremes in both sides. There's always a balance. So another thing in the concept of the opportunity of life is that you can apply those balances in everything, not just in your practice, not just in your daily life, not just in your family life, not just in your potential life, not just in your financial aspect, not just in your business aspect, every single aspect of your life, the same concept is applicable. And this is taught actually in the debate system. This is taught from the concept of what we say uh, what we say learning to apply one thing to another. This is there's a concept of learning to apply one thing to another. So if I give you an example, that it will be that for the concept of, for example, the concept of impermanence, right? I say, okay, this headphone is impermanent because it's subjected to change, it's subjected to cause and effect, and it's subjected to continuity in the sense that it continues. So now, just by if I can understand, apply this the viewpoint, the four different viewpoints that I talked about earlier. If I can apply that viewpoint onto this aspect and understand the impermanence within this object, then it follows that everything that, especially everything, first it follows that all the similar headphones to this, all the headphones that are exactly same to this, apply the same method. We also use the same concept in when we are developing compassion. If I, as a human being, have suffering from this and that and this and this and this and this, and samsara is, and I'm in samsara because of this and this and this, and I'm suffering. Now I learn to say, oh, but I'm a human. She's also a human. He's also a human, and therefore the same concept applies. Yeah, so this is, Dakshin Yamje, we say, in what we say, changing oneself with another. This concept is exactly the same, no difference. Is learning to apply the same logic to another. So this is, I think, one concept of development within the system of philosophy in Buddhism, is that once you learn to define things and the definition is there, if it meets the exact same definition, then the whole concept is applicable, right? So if you want to develop compassion, you do this exact same way. So you look at yourself, you look at suffering, you look at, samsara in within you. And once you realize that, especially to those loved ones, it's easier to apply. So you start with the easy ones. You start with applying to your loved ones, and slowly, slowly, you expand your circle of compassion. And that's how you reach supreme emotion, right? The supreme emotion or the great compassion. That's how you reach that point. That's how you reach the development of that point. So exactly the same method applied even when it comes to the middle way, and even when it comes to the application of the two extremes. If you see that two mindsets, yeah, two mindsets of eternalism and what is a nihilism, when you see that these are two extremes, and you say, okay, if these are two extremes, then if I'm learning, if I apply it, if I look at something else, then okay, this is also in the same way. It applies in the same way. So the method is what we say, cognizing the relation between the application of this utilization. Make sense? So yeah, so that would be I think an important approach to practicing the middle way in your daily life, because now you understand that only focusing on money is extreme, only focusing on practice also extreme. Now there's a utilization between the two. While you are making money, you can practice. While you are doing this, you can practice. While you are doing that, you can practice. So practice is always there, no matter where no matter where you are laying your, what we say, putting your feet into. The same aspect of practice comes. Yeah. And then also in regards to family as well, the application of family, application of whatever, even when it comes to sickness, there's always a balance, right? I think when it comes to Kyabjala Matab Rinpoche manifesting illnesses in the past, we very clearly saw that he was able to, to apply these methods in regards to practice and in regards to suffering and sickness and so on and so forth. Even though those are manifestations, we can see that these applications were there. So similarly in life, I think this is one thing that we need to understand: the middle way, the middle approach, uh, learning to balance everything. Everything exists on the basis of balance. Yeah, even we are alive on the basis of balance. If there was no balance, we would not be alive. Yeah. So everything exists on the base of balance. Even if you look at our earth, it's is rotating in a balance. It's in a certain distance of balance, you know. So even from a scientific perspective, I think you can say the exact same thing, that everything exists on the base of balance. Yeah, the moment it goes onto one side, then there's chaos erupting. So don't let, in practice, don't let that tilt happen. Yeah. So that's, I think, another concept that can be applied, should be applied, of course, but also can be applied. And this application can bring the necessary means of practice. So whatever we are talking about today, we are talking, I think, generally we are talking. Now, if you go specific, each and every single individual has a specific way, a method, or means. We already talked about it. But if you go specific, then of course there's specific methods to apply in certain ways. And that one, I think, because it's specific, therefore, uh, normally the figuring out also has to be done on a specific level. But then generally, I think the application, these are the key points of application on regards to in regards to what we say, in regards to what we the things that we went through. Then I think mainly we started the first day, we started in regards to why practice, what is the reason to practice, what is your value, look into yourself and figure out why you want to study Buddhism, figure out why you want to practice, figure out why the importance is there. So these, all of these are, I think, also extremely important in regards to how you can take your step moving forward, right? So uh, keep continuing. If you, I think that was one of the first homeworks on the first day. So if you are doing that, then keep continue doing that, and maybe later on, like I said, once we finish the course, maybe I can, if you are willing to share, maybe I can go through your workbooks. If you are not willing to share, no problem. Keep the workbooks for your own practice. Maybe you can, what we say, you can um, contemplate on them over and over. So that's one thing. Second thing is, when it comes to the application, then also consideration of having values is extremely important. Yeah? Living with purpose, uh, living with goals, living with aspirations, living with what is important to you, and where you want to reach through these practices. It is also important, right? Otherwise, practice meaningless. um, and in regards to that, I think the concept of karma, and through the concept of karma, the application of consistency also important, because once you have reason, is, I think, most likely for I can't say all of us, but most of us, is that the application comes in one part of practice, but then the thing is, our moments are very short-lived. So inspiration is very short-lived. So is aspiration. So is what we say, purpose. So is all of that. And all of those are impermanent. Like we say, we go back to the same concept of impermanent change, consistency, or continuity, changes in different ways. It continues in one way, but it changes in different other ways. So that is always there. So these ones change. Today I'm inspired to go to the gym. I'm inspired. I see one of my friends, very, well maintained, so on and so forth. So I get inspired, and I think, oh yeah, I also want to do this, and so on and so forth. But then I do it for maybe 2, 3 days, 4 days. Then my inspiration slowly disappears. Even if I see, oh yeah, it's good for my health, it's good for that, it's good for this, the inspiration slowly disappears. Then my purpose changes, my goals change. Now I find something different. Oh, now I want to go running, because running, may be better for me. And then I don't have to pay to the gym, and so on and so forth. So now I give a whole different reason to why I should not go to the gym to pump myself up, but then go for jogging instead or running instead. So now the inspiration, the whole concept changing again. Then after 3 days, I think, why should I concentrate on my body? I'm not sick. I'm healthy. I'm okay. Maybe it's my mental side that I need to concentrate on. So then I find a meditation teacher. So then I start meditating every morning, and that happens for maybe 2 3 days. If you look at your life, you start to see, throughout your life, that this has constantly been happening each and every day. Forget about days. We map it out and you look at years. Yeah, yeah. For a few years I did this, then few years I did that, and few years I did this, and then few years I met this teacher and he inspired me to do this, and then I started doing that. And then after a few years I met another teacher. That teacher told me to do something completely different, and then I was inspired by that, so I started doing this. That's how life is, right? So, but at the end of the day, all of those experiences lead up to something. Yeah, all of those experiences, those accumulated experiences, they lead up to growth. They lead up to, development. They lead up to all of those different things. So whatever it may be, uh, of course, development comes not in just one aspect. That's why keeping your mind open to a lot of different things is good. And also when it comes to practicing dharma, to be consistent is also good. But then, like I said, the practice comes from all different methods. And I think this is one thing that has given you something to meditate on also. The meditate on change, meditate on impermanence. Not change in impermanence as in your body and all of that. That one you already see. But change in impermanence in the mind, in the way it thinks, in the way that it accumulates, in the way that it sees, in the way that it changes from aspirations, to goals, to views, to so on and so forth. So you start to see all of these changes, and that's important. Yeah, that teaches you the concept of impermanence, that teaches you the concept of consistency, that certain things that you have given more time to develop, you'll start to see that those have developed more. Certain things that you have given less time to develop, those things will have developed less. And maybe if it was 10 years ago and you didn't, the consistency was not there, then by now maybe it's also disappeared. Who knows? so, so think about those things. I think quite important aspects of learning. um Learning in the sense that learning, what do we say, in understanding, right? So yeah, so that is that. Then anything else I need to cover? Mm. So I think mainly comes, the whole aspect comes, if you look at it, the whole, don't focus on too many different things. The main focus comes like on the first day we started internally. So the main focus comes from internal experience, internal wish, internal goal, internal aspiration, internal view, vision, so on and so forth. Then through that, then you go again a second step of internalizing, which is internalizing the mind, looking at your mind, looking at where it went, how it is, what are the parts, different aspects that we talked about in mind and mental factors. What kind of change, what kind of development, where the compassion is, where the anger is, where the hatred is, where that is, where this is. This is all internal. And this is something that you don't need someone to guide you through, because once you close your mind and you look at yourself, truly look at yourself, not not through the modern way, which is, modern way. I think there's a lot of, what we say, a lot of acting and a lot of showing off, and a lot of, even if you're inside, there's a lot of anger and a lot of that. Outside you need to smile and nice and, oh yeah, good. So not in that aspect. Be true to yourself, right? Be true to yourself in the aspect that when it comes to practice, you make things as they are. Yeah, you start from the base, where you look at it for what they are, and then use what they are in order to become what it could be. That's where practice starts from, right? So So that's, I think, the process. So eternal, all, I think from starting is all eternal, eternal values, eternal mindsets, eternal wishes, goals, so on and so forth. And then from there, also eternal connections. Yeah, connection to what kind of practice is best for you, connection to what kind of methods are best for you, connection to understanding those things. And then from there, then it starts to become okay, you set up your mind map, and then you set up, okay, the goals. Now how do I do it? How do I do it in the sense that what is the best method for me to, to apply these things, and what works for me? And from there, then comes the, then you start inviting all the dharma teachings and that and these and practices and so on and so forth, and you start to see what works for you and what doesn't work for you. And then slowly, the application happens. And then once they, like I said, once the conviction is there and then the application happens, then what we are talking about today, development, means and development. Yeah, means as in the concepts of the different concepts that are, that you can use to apply in order to practice. We talked about time utilization, we talked about mental utilization, we talked about what do we say, the importance of certain things such as precious human rebirth. We talked about your mental capacity. We talked about functions. We talked about, reflections. We talked about all of these things. So, and then also the realization of freedom. So you utilize this in the potential of how you can benefit out of it. And then through that, then comes the applications of the different types of teachings, starting from the Four Noble Truths to the compassion to so on and so forth. All those things. And then also, I think the baseline of applications, middle way, extremely important, so that you don't go to the two extremes in any kind of practice. Then also, in regards to that, understanding, the two extremes and the reasons why you shouldn't go through that. And then of course on top of that, find once you find the balance, then the application of the balance also in regards to, being, not being too attached to it. Even in dharma, you can see that some people, when they become too serious of a practitioner, then actually you should be more compassionate, you should be more kind, you should be more, but then there's more pride, there's more challenge, there's all of that, so you don't want to go on that path. Okay, so even when you are a dharma practitioner, even if you are a 20 years dharma practitioner, 30-year dharma practitioner, 40-year dharma practitioner, doesn't matter, always learn to keep that humility as it is. So these, I think these are the balances that we need to focus on, right? And then of course through that we have all we have gone through most of the what we say, the philosophical aspect of the three different applications, right? Mind and mental factor, karma, and then of course mind and mental factor as an emotional, what we say. I think the first one I would call more like a delusional emotional understanding, emotional delusion that can be understood or something like that. So that would be the first aspect. Second aspect would be mind and mental factors in the concept that, okay, these are the things that you can utilize. Third is the concept of karma that you can again utilize, and you see the potential of it. And then also understanding that you have the freedom to apply these things. And then you emerge these two, what we talked about today, with these three things. And then maybe slowly. Make sense? Okay. Okay, maybe we do, if you have some questions, we do some, a little bit of question answer. We still have some time. Yeah, yeah. We have some time. So in regards to today's topic or the last 3 days topic, main thing I think, if you're going through the workbook, uh, see, every week I think we come with new topics. So, well, not new, I'm sure most of you already know about it, I'm just blabbering about it. So anyway, application of these things, uh, uh, and then utilization, consistency. So focus on those things. Yeah, Maddie has a question. Yeah,
This thing
Miss
has,
Peng.
yeah, you see, how do we deal with it when we are like meditating, right? Then I see certain delusion, and then you have this parental blaming voice. This is your child cherishing thought. But I know that even Arahat has self cherishing thought. This you have no bodhicitta. You study, you've been a Dharma student for so long, but you're still like this. You know, when you try to meditate and you try to work compassionately, but at the back of your mind, due to the way maybe my parents has been raising me in that way, that turned into I use Dharma to be a cane for myself. How to deal with that? Yeah.
Aspect quite similar. I think the aspect is quite similar. Utilization in the general concept. So yeah, I think the aspect pretty much same. Utilization in the general concept of understanding certain things always happens in the concept of trying to major in that thing, and the major always comes through focus. So we tend to say, okay, the focus is important, and what that does is that goes into extremism, because once you combine the concept of utilization in the sense that it is defined by the characters of what it should be and what it could be, and then based on that you utilize it with the concept of application, then sometimes the concept of extremist comes, because that's how we are. um, One thing is, of course, potentially when we are trying to make sense of something, we try to make sense of something from all directions, and this is, of course, this is important. But the thing is one step of it is understanding, the second step of it is actually application. Understanding and application are two completely different things. Understanding has to be done from all different aspects, and application, I think, has to be done on the basis of what is sensible. If it's not sensible, if it's meaningless, if you don't have a value to it, if you don't have an understanding, if you don't have a goal, if you don't have aspirations, if you don't have consistency, if you don't have what we say conviction in it, then what does application mean? Dharma, for a lot of people, they understand, like I said, understand that the application comes from 10 different directions. I mean, they understand that the understanding comes from 10 different, understanding the 10 different directions, and through that then comes the conviction, in the sense that the conviction doesn't come from understanding, the conviction comes from labeling. Another topic that I would say in regards to this is there is a big difference between um, um, devotion and obedience, right? The concept of these things are important in the wider view of understanding dharma. If dharma was applied in the sense that I think I also told you that I mean told said this previously, that if you are not a bodhisattva and you try to apply the life of bodhisattva into your daily life, then it can become a problem, because your mindset is not ready, right? So these is a lot of aspects, and therefore how the teachings are presented matter a lot. Yeah. If the teachings are presented to most, I would say most, actually, to most cultural influenced communities, culturally influenced communities, this has become a cultural influence, in the sense that it is not it does not come from understanding. It does not come from, it does not come from conviction. It comes from, sort of like a authority application, authoritarian application, right? Authoritarian application. It comes from an authoritarian application, and that's not wise. The reason why it's not wise is because there is no value to it. There's no understanding in it. There's no concept to it. The only concept you have is the concept that, oh yeah, this is how it is. This is how it was, and this is how it is, and this is how it should be. And how is that good enough for your practice? So it can be degrading to the practice actually if not applied in the right way. So this is why I think understanding it on that level is extremely important. Because if you don't have a clear view of why a certain aspect of practice is applied in your life, then that becomes a cause of frustration. It becomes a cause of pain. It becomes a cause of problem, right? So if you see a bodhisattva ever complain about practicing compassion, then there's a problem, right? A bodhisattva should be someone who has a conviction in why apply compassion. So if, like I said, if you're a bodhisattva and the application is easy enough for you, then there's not going to be a problem. But if you're not a bodhisattva, if I look at myself, and I read the life of a bodhisattva, the ways of bodhisattva life or whatever, if I look at those practices and I try to apply those practices, I can go mentally insane because those are neither my choice, nor do they come from the strong conviction, nor do they come in the sense that there's no limitation, nor do they come from my own capacity. So our method to practice is to reach there. And once you reach there, then the practice starts to become easy. But before reaching there, it has to be, it has to be in the sense that there are limitations. There are, it goes in that way, I think. So I think, like I said, when it comes from influence, especially when it comes from influence, cultural influence, whether it be from your parents, whether it be from your teacher, whether it be from your community, whether it be whatever it may be, when it comes from influence, then, you know, uh, well, I'm not sure if it comes from conviction or not. Those are two different things. So I think most of what you are experiencing comes from influence, and therefore it doesn't coordinate with your being or yourself or who you are, and therefore now you have issues in regards to it. Because the influence is comes from something completely different, right? The influence doesn't come from your internal understanding or your eternal value. Your internal value and internal understanding and internal conviction and internal realization, that's where your path should be, not from external uh, causes and external influences. Make sense?
Can I clarify is when you are sitting down doing meditation, those voices came to your mind. So you just ignore and focus on whatever you just ignore them as a thought passing by, like the 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 like, oh, you're, let's say you're meditating on anger, right? Then instead of watching anger, you have like, why are you still angry? You are studying
Yeah,
patient chapter this period of time. So if
yeah,
we are doing your meditation, you give us to do awareness of awareness, then you just focus on awareness of the patient, and this voice are like distraction, and you just don't pay attention to them. when you are doing your practice, you know what I mean? The practice and
Mm.
awareness of awareness.
So in regards to this, my question would be, what do you think is the best thing for you? Do you see development when you focus on the anger? Like, let's say you are practicing awareness of awareness and you're sitting down and you're meditating and the anger comes up. Now you start focusing on the anger. Do you think that helps you in some way? Do you think that's beneficial?
I'm focusing on my awareness of the awareness. So means that I will be like aware of my awareness means I will look at the manifestation. Yeah.
I think outline of all of this is, like I said, no one can tell you what your mind is. No one can tell you your mindset. No one can tell you your experiences. No one can tell you what. So this one, if you are depending on an external person's advice in regards to how you should do, how you should work with your mind, of course, methods are there. Like I said, outlines are there of methods. That is always there, and this is what we depend on. But then if you go on a very specific level and you try to without what we say without calculating the outcomes, you try to reflect in the way that has been taught. One thing is, of course, in most cases it can be beneficial, but one thing is, because you know even Buddha himself said that, right? Was 얘기 똑바로 랍합니다. 증인데 뭐 도와줄 가상이 가서 처음에서 냐바 유다래 it says, right? 가상이 가서 one person cannot define the other person's mindset. 가상이 가서 처음이신데 never, right? I can never say, oh, Miss Ping, you are experiencing this and therefore you should do this. No, the concept is the result is always taught, right? If you potentially think about this, then the result, this kind of result can come because of this reason. If you think about that, this kind of result can come out of this. Now the concept is understanding what is, because I always say you need to focus on what is productive. If you are sitting down, for some people, they sit down, anger comes, focus on anger, and try to see where it comes from, and then try to see, if it's baseless or whether it's meaningful. The anger can come from all different reasons. Yeah, and most likely it comes from the self-cherishing reason. Yes, and in Buddhism we say, oh, self-cherishing is very bad. Let it go. Forget about that. Useless. But then sometimes we need to work with it. Sometimes we need to embrace it. Sometimes we need to give it credit. At the end of the day, when you reach bodhisattva, when you reach enlightenment, yes, then it's meaningless. It becomes baseless. It becomes senseless. But for now, yeah, when it needs love, when it needs care, when it needs comfort, when it needs all of that, then the self, so the the self, what we say, the self worth becomes also something worth, and therefore the utilization of reason and logic is important. You need to understand that there is a time when you're practicing and when you're comfortable enough and when your confidence has grown enough and when you don't have to nurture the self grasping attitude like you're nurturing a baby. That time, then you can really let it go from the root. Yes. Yeah, and the grasping attitude, even in the tantric path, the tenfold tantric path, the grasping has to still exist there. We're still working with it. Yeah, we're still working with the innate grasping attitude through the channels. So if you are not on that level and if you're still practicing and still trying to, then of course it's going to be that. It's going to be there. So you need to be kind to yourself when you're working with yourself. Yeah, you cannot rush things, you cannot push things, you need to utilize in that sense. And then also another thing, like I said, lot of the basis, when you start to see things that are baseless, that are meaningless, that are useless, then it's easier to let go of those things. If I give you a spoon and that spoon is made out of some metal that is completely useless, baseless, and there's no value to it, then you know, then for you to throw it, it will be easier. As if I give you a golden spoon, then you know the value is there. It's harder to let go, no? So if you're considering to work through your, your conceptual view of anger and so on and so forth, whatever pops up, if you are looking to work with it, I think one thing is chase it back and see it's if it is of any value, if it has any base to stand on. If it does, then good. Use it, utilize it. Yeah. Just like the Bodhisattva utilized attachment to help countless beings, utilize it. But if it's baseless, senseless, and useless, then I think you are already convincing yourself to let go of it slowly, slowly, slowly. Does it make sense?
Also, to share, like when you watch a delusion, right, it will disappear. You will not be always there. Let's say I want to really focus on anger, then as you watch, it will also disappear, right? You know what I'm saying? The feeling. So it's not
What dis
consistently there. When you
what
want to watch
disappears?
your, when you watch, for example, your anger, you
Yeah,
really want to like, okay, now anger, I'm with you, right? But when you
yeah.
seriously give your attention and try to look at it, it will sometimes become smaller or it will just disappear and you cannot watch it anymore. You understand?
If you look at the concept of impermanence, or the concept
Mm.
of continuity, then
Mm.
the anger is just a mind. What we say, a mind, sort of like a part of the mind. Yeah, we have anger, attachment, delusion, so on and so forth. The continuity of that mindset can be developed. Yeah, it either it changes. Whether those are two complete different mindsets or not, now that is debatable. Like I said, if you go into the topic of mind and mental factors, you have all of these different, 52 different secondary mind, and then the primary mind, and so on and so forth. And then also when it comes to the concept of karma, the imprinting, imprinting part of the mind is also has all different aspect of the mind. So anyway, if you look at the 12 dependent links, the three last aspects of the mind, when it's born, and the last two when there's when near to death, the imprinting, these parts of the minds, now you can say these are more consistent. But other than that, every what do we say, mind that has the option of change, of degrading, of of what do we say, convincing, of what do we say, contemplation, these things are all changing in the aspects of the mind. So coming back to the point is basically, if you are able to change the concept, uh, like I said, if you see baseless, meaningless, useless points in it, then the likeliness that it can be, what is it? So yeah, so in that sense, then it can be converted. You can say converted in certain aspects, right? But then also on the basis, I don't think the fully disappearing concept can be there, because the continuity is always there. But fully change is again a completely different concept of it, right? So the mind fully changes into something completely different. Yeah, we say the only reason why thought arises from uh, jeshe. Jeshe is because there's a process of the thought that reflects on something. If I did not see you before, and I saw you for the first time, that's the imprinting part. Now the imprinting part, process of the imprinting part, comes afterwards, when the process of observing from memory, one partly from the memory part, and partly from the visual part, Yeah, now these two connect together, and then comes Cheshe, which is the, what do you say, the application of understanding what is. So these understandings again change. So the same thing with anger as well, right? Anger can derive from, there is always a cause, a base to the duration of the where the anger comes from. But then, because just because the base exists doesn't mean the anger can has to continue as the base of anger. The base, the moment the base changes, like someone I hate today, if that person was very nice to me, and that person, I don't know, helped me in a different way. Now the base of the anger itself changes. So the conversion of the anger becomes into love or something like that. So they are, like I said, these are, I think, I just told you maybe 4 5 different methods of how the mind stream works in regards to the concept of continuity or impermanence. Make sense?
Thank you, Rinpoche. Yeah.
So anything else? I think in regards to this, it doesn't have to be today's topic also. If you have any reflections, questions in regards to the topics we already discussed in the past, also can be that. Then also in regards to application as well. So okay, so yeah. So anyway, I think pretty much let's look at the reflection. So in reflection, today's workbook, you have what capacities and conditions do I have now to support growth. So this is, I think, something we talked about, important. You write that down. How do I want to use this precious human life? That's again in regards to goal, aspirations. Yeah. What distractions or habits put me away from meaning? So that's again something you can, what we say, meditate on, put it down. But I think before just jotting it down, just don't just jot it down like, oh yeah, this is what. Actually sit down and contemplate. Contemplate deeper, because we want deeper meaning in all of this. We don't want, I mean, I can write, how do I use this precious, oh, I use this precious human life to benefit all mother sentient beings and to attain enlightenment, to follow my the teaching of my guru, and to follow the path. Yes, you can do that, but that's not what we are looking for. We are looking for internal answer, right? So don't just jot down like this. I think more, sit down, meditate, think about it. And like I said, you don't have to share this with anyone. This is for your own practice. So no faking, no lying, no no trying to be a bodhisattva, all of that. Real raw emotion, yeah, you write down. Like I said, you don't have to show this to anyone. You don't have to tell this to anyone. If you feel like it at the end of the course, maybe you can, if you feel like it, you can share with me. If not, no problem. But this is for your own practice. So raw, um, human experiential answers, not from the bodhisattva's path of life. Okay. Then what distraction habits? Yeah, I know. So same. If I know I had 1 year to live, what would change in how I live? That's a good one. So that's also something to meditate on. Just think about it. Maybe it will give you a different aspect on how your mind works, right? Then what legacy do I have to leave through my actions and presence? Yeah, this is not very important, but something that you can contemplate on as well. And then during that, then I think when it comes to really uh, trying to utilize what we talked about and bringing them together and seeing how you can utilize it in your life for your practice, for your benefit, in that case, then you also work with these ones. Yeah, life inventory, it says. um Yeah, and then these other things, yeah, these other things you can read and you can. I hope everyone is ticking their days. Yeah, hopefully. Maybe not everyone, but hopefully everyone. Ah, so then next topic will be understanding transformation, and I think in within understanding transformation, we can reflect on these things. So maybe I'll give in transformation, understanding transformation. Maybe we sort of like open everything up so that people can also communicate. You don't have to communicate, but I want communication because this is a back and forth. I think learning happens that way. uh, Generally in the monastery, the lama sits up there on the throne and people sit down there and people listen. But now we don't do that way. We change the way. Yeah. Open mic, then we can understand, converse more on understanding and transformation in regards to that. Everyone okay with that? Happy with that? Yeah. Okay. Comfortable with that? Okay. So I think, yeah, we stop here. uh Thank you so much. Yeah. Sanjosem Jorimboje, Majevanam Jeguzi, Jawanyamba Mebaya, Konekondo Bewa, Tony Dawa Rimboje, Majevanam Jeguzi, Jawanyam, Konekondo Bewa, Jimgetsu de Gemetsu, Namadan, Lassen Bebetsu de Getsu de Bad. Okay. I hope everyone's enjoying. Thank you.